I bet if you polled all the GMs secretly, they'd tell you that Josh Allen is the new QB1 in the National Football League. I'll talk about it here today on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Nothing but facts being said right there. It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL Barbershop Afternoon Edition that comes on here each and every day. And he's Matt Williamson. He rides with me every single Friday here from the Peacock and Williamson podcast, of course. We use our collective experience as credentialed members of the media to give you a little bit of a ride around the National Football League with the use of clips from local experts that allow us to get our finger on the pulse of each team. And hopefully you guys can enjoy today's show, which is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Hello to the everydayers. We appreciate you for spending your time with us. We do not take that for granted. And if you're new, we don't take you for granted either. We're glad to have you along with us. Make sure now you tap in wherever you can get your podcast, whether you watch or listen. And if you're on a plane and you can't, or something like that, download the Locked On Podcast newsletter that you can find at lockedonpodcast.com/newsletter. All right, here we go. This is what we're going to do. At the end, it's Friday. It's the season. We're going to whip you around the league and tell you who we think is going to win all of these games. In the middle, we're going to talk about the Chargers, how they look to continue their climb out west. They got a key game against another AFC West opponent this week. But we're going to start at the top with something I said already. Josh Allen is QB1. And I don't think everybody would agree with me, but I think a lot of people would, even though he hasn't won it yet. I just think he's starting to separate himself a little bit, mainly because he beat Lamar Jackson in 2 consecutive games. But I also believe that Kansas City falling back a little bit has allowed us to kind of look at this thing evenly between him and Mahomes. What you think, Matt?
Wow, it's a big statement. I mean, it really is. And I understand where you're coming from. I'm not going to give him as much credit as you did for winning head-to-head against Lamar. Now, Mahomes' body of work makes him QB1, but I look at it this way. If I'm a defensive coordinator or, hey, if I'm a Jags fan or a Steelers fan, who do I not want to play against? Mm-hmm. That's how I always think about it. Like, is Marvin Harrison a great wide receiver? Of course he is. But I think I'd rather play against him than Calvin Johnson. You know what I mean? Like, there's just guys that are too freaky. And I think Allen's more freaky. And it used to be, even if we had this conversation a year ago, I would say, boy, Allen is a ridiculous specimen that can do everything and wear the Superman cape, as everyone on the planet knows. But he's going to throw you one or do 1 or 2 things that helps my team, you know, playing against him. He's eliminated the mistakes, though.
Yeah,
I mean, man. He doesn't take sacks. I become so big on sacks being a quarterback stat. And all the data shows that they just kill drives across the league. He used to take a lot of sacks. He doesn't take sacks anymore. He used to throw a couple to the other team, but you lived with it, like a Favre. Doesn't do that anymore. I can't fight you on it. I mean, I really can't. And frankly, I think you have to put Mahomes third of who you'd want to play against.
Ooh.
Just because he's been – not because the supporting cast is so poor right now. I mean, it's just been – fewer jaw-dropping, unbelievable plays over the last year or 2 compared to Lamar or Allen.
Yep, and you're right. I'm gonna squeeze a little bit more out of that after we hear from Joe Marino about last night's game where Josh Allen showed up a little bit in a game that was a little bit tighter than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Joe Marino talking about Buffalo.
The Miami Dolphins gave the Bills a game, but Buffalo comes out on top with a 10-point home win in Week 3 to improve to 3-0. The Bills had plenty of opportunities to make this game a blowout, but Miami kept staying in it. But they made their own mistakes. Buffalo was able to capitalize 3 touchdowns from Josh Allen, 100 yards from scrimmage from James Cook, and a touchdown. And the Bills get out of this thing with a win, but questions about this defense continue to mount. Third downs were an issue once again. The young defensive tackles struggled in this one. The Bills need to get healthy, get Ed Oliver back on the field, and try to figure out their formula defensively. They can't always rely on the big play, which they continue to get. Terrell Bernard with a huge red zone interception on Tua Tagovailoa. But the story here is the Bills escape with a win, but defensive concerns continue to mount.
They do have some concerns on defense, but they're 3-0. And one of the things that I'll say about Josh Allen, this is why I kind of measure greatness indirectly. And what I'm going to say here has nothing to do with the players, but it's the perception of all of the players. All I'm hearing about, I have people saying that Brett Veach needed to get fired because he hasn't built this roster correctly or he can't find receivers. So you go from Tyreek Hill, who should be a Hall of Famer, I think, wide receivers.
I think, yeah.
Right. And then you draft a couple of guys. Rashee Rice can't keep himself out of trouble. You want to fire the GM. Now, Pete, this. Everyone for the last 2 or 3 years has said since Stephon Diggs left that the Bills are doing Josh Allen a disservice. Do you see what he has those guys doing? He has galvanized those players. You don't hear people making excuses. When you watch the games, you don't even think about the fact that they have a quote unquote wide receivers or weapon shortage. Whoever you give him, that's who he's going to win with. And ain't nobody out here trying to make excuses and fire a legendary GM because the team is not having success.
Like Joe Marino, I am also worried about the defense, and I don't know that it's a GM problem necessarily. They went out and got Von Miller, and that didn't quite work out. Now they went and got Bosa, and that looks pretty good. As those type of dudes, and drafted D-line like crazy. And last year, the MVP came down to Lamar or Allen, and I thought it was as much of a coin flip decision as you could have. But the biggest thing when you fight that battle to me was Lamar had more around him, namely Derrick Henry and, other guys to draw attention away from the quarterback position to some degree. Now, I bet there's people out there listening like going, he has won the big one. You can't put him over Mahomes, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I know that's how this world works. But I urge everyone to do a search for Warren Sharp, Josh Allen playoffs. And because he says it better than I will. He did a deep study during this Mahomes, Allen, Lamar era, where the Chiefs have dominated, and did all the playoff quarterbacks of this era, how well they performed by any metric you can even imagine. Allen's number one by far, just playoff performance. And the Bills defense is like last by far. Now, are we going to kill him for that? He can't be on the field 60 minutes.
13 seconds, man. 13
right, exactly,
seconds.
Right.
Tyreek Hill running through everybody, like a madman. He can't tackle people too.
Right.
So I thought Lamar should have won the MVP last year, but I don't connect years like that. I'm just saying right now, this dude is playing. So to everybody's point, okay, y'all say you don't have this and he don't have this, and he is willing that team to win.
Yeah.
That says an awful lot where you don't have to make excuse for a guy's play. Now, Mahomes, I will give you this. And I said this with Troy Aikman after Jimmy Johnson left and they started to lose talent and Troy's play started to slip. There's something to be said about a dude that is used to playing clean, that is used to playing with his left tackle that can block, that is used to playing with people that know how to get open, that when you take them away, it doesn't expose them. It's just that you watch in real time them adjust to having to do things or do things that they didn't customarily have to do before because they just don't have as good a team around them. So I kind of get that and I understand it. But I will give a shout out to the Ferraris. They did go up and fight a little bit last night.
Yeah.
And they, I've been giving them a hard time. I will shout them out. But first, we're going to take a look at a team out west that I have been high on all off season, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers and their ascension in the AFC. We'll do it in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored by our friends over at DoorDash. That is right, man. DoorDash delivers. It's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered. Powered by DoorDash, just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deliver when it matters most. Let's break it down. Josh Allen, just talked about him. Josh Allen is the real deal, and he's carrying a team that everyone says is devoid of talent, but they're 3-0 and right now looking like the favorites in the AFC. Just like Josh Allen did for the Bills, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday your order. You save on your order every Saturday, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. That is right, man. FanDuel is the absolute truth. Y'all know it. It is football season. And if you ain't FanDueling, man, I don't know what you're waiting for, because you have so much fun on FanDuel and you get a chance to make you some of that Skrilla. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes it so much fun to watch these games, especially if your team is losing. You can still win some money while you're watching. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. With my man Matt Williamson here from the Peacock and Williamson podcast, OG from the NFL, Locked On NFL show, one of the founders of that show, and I'm grateful for him. Matt, you've heard me talk about Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers and that simple way that they play football. And I also think I've mentioned to you before that one of the things that he had an advantage of, like Pete Carroll, like Jimmy Johnson, guys that were really, really successful in college, when they moved to the NFL, you know all of these players. So you're going to find some gems in the draft that other people may not know about because you've been vetting these kids since they were 15 years old. And I think that's showing up a little bit for the Chargers right now. But one guy that didn't need a whole bunch of vetting is their left tackle, who was drafted to be their right tackle, but he is their left tackle now, and that's Joe Alt. And he's a weapon, and they're using him like that, and he's unleashing Justin Herbert because of the time that he's given Herbert while Rashawn Slater is out. Listen to the fellas from Locked On Chargers talk about Joe Alt.
For Joe Alt, it has been straight up dominance through 2 games. We're talking 79 pass blocking snaps, 1 pressure allowed in 2 games. He is a freak of nature, 6'8", extremely long arms. And for a guy that tall, he has an uncanny ability to be the low man. He's just so technically sound. So he's a guy that's going to be a big, big test to go up against.
Hey, man, look, you love offensive linemen. You love trench guys. And I'm telling you, man, when he got drafted, I did not know anyone that did not think that Joe Alt was not going to be great.
Yeah, he might be the next great left tackle. You know, I mean, Trent Williams looks like he's starting to move on, and Tyron Smith's done. Like, we might be talking about Alt as, oh, he's the best tackle in the league for next 10 years, you know, on the left side. I'll be honest, the Slater injury really scared me for them because I think Slater's tremendous.
Yes.
And I wasn't afraid of Alt going to the left. I was just worried about the void it was going to, you know, create on the right. You know what I mean? But that being said, I thought Alt might show a little bit of problems going to the left. I didn't think he'd get better.
I know it, man. He is the real deal, and he personifies what that team is all about. But something else that I've noticed in the draft, people were like, why isn't he going after his old corner from Michigan, the Moore kid? Why is he not doing it? Cam Smith and those big, long T-Rexes that they have playing corner, they will come up and thump you, bro. Derwin James is like not even the biggest dude, and he's a big safety. He's not even the biggest dude they have in the secondary. They are physical. They are fast. Deion Henley is a superstar.
He's the other one. I'm glad you brought him up. If someone else is going to maybe be the best player at their position, you know, following Fred Warner's footsteps, he's my vote. Cooper in Green Bay, Henley with the Chargers, I think are the next great linebackers in this league too.
Yeah, and I told Chris Carter this yesterday on the show. We were talking so much about Pittsburgh needing defensive linemen. We knew they liked Kenneth Grant. We knew that they liked Derek Harmon and his similarities to Stephon Tuitt, who had to walk away early, and Pittsburgh got him. I said, well, if you don't get the nose tackle, if you take Harmon, too bad you don't have a second round pick or maybe a third rounder that's higher, because Jamari Caldwell is going to be
I like Caldwell
that
too.
kid can play too. He's another one that is a rookie nose tackle for the Chargers that is making a whole lot of noise for them. Philadelphia.
Real quick, I mean, you just mentioned it. I just want to sum it up. I mean, their defense, some of our listeners might not be able to tell you all their starters or guys not named Mac or James, but they've developed and drafted so well there. So well, the corner, the linebacker, the nose, right.
And I think that those extra eyes and attention that Harbaugh had, being a big time college coach and recruiting these guys the last 5-6 years, that really, really does matter. And we've seen it where, like Richard Sherman was a wide receiver, and Pete Carroll turned him into what is going to be a Hall of Fame corner because he knew him. He knew him from high school, and he recruited him, and that's a part of it. The Eagles, we're going to talk about. They're a real quiet team right now. That's the Super Bowl champion, and quiet is good sometimes. They are a very, very good team, and they're also getting production out of some rookies. Here, my man Lou DiBiase to talk about that.
You know, it's only been 2 weeks, but I always kind of think narratively through sports, especially with the Eagles, and already starting to think about, like, through 2 games, what's the story of the 2025 Eagles? Who is this team becoming? What is the story of the season? So far, it's been that Howie Roseman has taken that final step in his evolution as potentially not just an elite GM, but one of the greatest general managers, if not the GOAT in NFL history for GMs. I mean, because the last thing that he wasn't really great at for years was drafting. And now, looking at his past 4 draft classes, his last 5, he is maybe the best drafting GM in all of football. And the story of this year so far has been the rookies are making the biggest plays at the biggest moments in wins. What was the biggest play of the game against Dallas that got them that first week 1 win? It was Jahad Campbell forcing a fumble in the red zone on Miles Sanders. What was the big play to win against the Chiefs? It was Drew Makuba's interception. The rookies are dominating.
My man Louis put him in the GOAT category. He is. If there's 5 or 6 people sitting at that table, he's one of them. Jimmy Johnson, Bill Walsh. I know they were coaches, but they were in charge of personnel on those teams. Right. If you look back, Ron Wolf was absolutely, and people don't understand. Al Davis actually was very good at what he did before
until
the end.
He was terrible.
Yeah, until he was bad. Until he kept drafting track people. You know what I'm saying? But. And then, of course, the trio in Dallas, that they had back in the day when they built their team. But Jimmy, to me, takes the case. It seems like Jimmy was hitting on 6th and 7th round picks, man. It was ridiculous. But that's also, I believe, because he had just left college. Philly is quietly just sitting there, and nobody's talking about them. And they're 2-0. They're figuring out their identity. They're winning games closely and not blowing people out. Don't mistake it. That's a real, real good football team in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, it's funny that people are not talking up the Eagles right now. Their first game was the game that everyone on the planet watched on national TV, and then they go to Kansas City and win. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty dang good, man.
I know Hurts isn't putting up big passing numbers, but I don't really care. And the last note I have is he mentioned the rookie class. If you go back and listen to the Peacock and Williamson prediction show, my rookie of the year was Jahad Campbell, and I got a couple bucks on it, and it pays off real well on FanDuel, and I'm feeling pretty good about it right now.
Look at that. That's a plug. That's a plug for FanDuel, man. It should be a plug for FanDuel. All right, we're gonna get into the Eagles and a game that I think it's the game of the week, and we usually go in order on our whip around and our pick them. We're gonna put them first in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at Square. Listen, man, you go places, you need to make sure that you have a chance to pay people right. And I want you to understand who Square is. It's your favorite neighborhood spots, man. They all run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. All you pet lovers, the pet lovers out there, that's right. Paw Licking Good, they take Square. Places like that take the Square, man. Rivertown, all of these great places. Sweet Pete's Candy in your neighborhood. Find all of these places right here in Jacksonville that absolutely take that Square and makes your payment process really, really easy and really clean. It's a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. And you can go to square.com/go/lockedonnfl to learn more. But before you go, support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. All right, man, moving and grooving here. We're going to get to pick them real quick. I talked about the Eagles at the end of segment 2. They have a big game. I'm going to give you an idea right now who the opponent is. We're going to listen to my fellas out there from Locked On Rams.
Looking good against Tennessee, and a rookie quarterback and a team that doesn't have a ton of weapons on offense is a little bit of a different animal than what they're about to see this week in Philadelphia with A.J. Brown, with Devonta Smith, with Jalen Hurts, with Saquon Barkley. That just a team that is loaded with weapons. And I think we'll get a much better sense of exactly how vulnerable that Rams secondary is, exactly how effective that Rams front is, because this is the team that they're trying to catch. This is the team that everybody in the NFC is trying to catch.
All right, there it is, man. So already we're going to jump right into it. First of all, the Rams haven't really played anybody that's going to check them. It's actually a 1:00 game too, so I'm not jumping ahead of it. Go ahead and pick this one, man. The Rams traveling back to Philly where they lost the NFC Championship.
I have some concerns with how the Eagles are throwing the ball. If they can exploit that Rams secondary, especially with as well as the Rams rush the passer. But I'm still taking the Eagles here in their building. We talked about the LA team, one LA team. I'm really impressed with this one too. And I think Stafford and Herbert are not far off the MVP conversation right now.
Yeah, they're not far off. I think it's going to be a low scoring affair.
I do too.
Yeah, this one ain't going to go. I think it's going to come down to the last possessions. The Rams might be so good they're just really waiting on a challenge too. That might be something that's going on. We'll have to see. The Atlanta Falcons got their first win. Should have been their second win. They go to Carolina, where I suspect they're going to get their second win.
Carolina might be the worst team in the league. And one thing I would just want to mention about Atlanta is I'm coming around on their defense. They drafted defense, and it really seems to be making an impact. I think that they're a much better football team. I'm taking
look at you, man. You're the one that pointed out to me how awful they've been pass rushing for 2 decades, and now you're giving them props. See, that's what we do here on the show, man. We even mentioned that Miami played better last night. We ain't gonna keep beating up on people. We don't pick on low hanging fruit around here. Speaking of low hanging fruit, Cleveland, they host Green Bay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Packers here.
Hey, man, as soon as we give a compliment, we'll slap somebody on the back of the neck on the school bus. I'm telling you, Cleveland, although they have played hard, I will give
they
it.
Have.
Stefanski has those guys getting everything out of their ability. Cincinnati and the fighting Jake Brownings, they go to Minnesota, and I don't know who's going to play quarterback for them this week.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this game. My thoughts are I'm just going to bet on Flores and home field advantage.
Yep, that's a good one. Although the Falcons went up there and kind of beat up on the Vikings last week. Pittsburgh at New England. I was going to get to it. That defense I was bragging about, they gave up 30 points. Wait, not technically they didn't, but you know what I mean. 30 points in 2 games against 2 subpar teams. What do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers got?
The Steelers defense has really not been impressive at all. I'm going to just kind of take a leap of faith here that a proud older team gets it together. And I have not been all that impressed with New England. That New England-Miami game was pretty sloppy last week.
Yeah, it really, really was. They got that W, but it was absolutely sloppy. All right, the New York Jets at Tampa. The Jets showed up in week 1, didn't show up in week 2. I think they got a problem on their hands going to Tampa this Sunday.
Me too. And maybe Tyrod Taylor helps things a little, but it also limits. He's just not the runner Fields is. He's a good runner, but he's not that type of dude. They may do some good things against the Tampa offensive line that's rebuilt, but I am really trusting Todd Bowles and Baker right now.
All right. The Indianapolis Colts, to me, the biggest surprise in the league. And side note, maybe the biggest indictment on Brian Daboll is that this kid hasn't led a team. The Colts, Danny Dimes, they haven't punted with him at quarterback. It's brilliant. And they go down to Tennessee to play a rookie. I think the Colts are going to be 3-0.
I think they're going to the playoffs, and I think they win this game. I am so impressed with Cam Ward, by the way, but he's doesn't have a lot around him, and he's a work in progress.
Yeah, and he made that throw last week, but it's one he has to learn how not to make. You're gonna have to harness that, because that's gonna be a disaster 9 times out of 10. If you didn't see it, go back and check it out. The Raiders at the Commanders, who may be without Jaden Daniels, and the Raiders kind of look a little clunky. The way it looks, Genty hasn't really gotten going, but they do play hard.
They do. I wish they were running the ball better. There's definitely a theme in the league that these rookie running backs are not producing as expected yet. And I don't think it comes here, but I'm not real big on Washington's offense or defense. I think this could be a close game.
I think it could be a close game too. I skipped past Houston and Jacksonville. Both those quarterbacks got a lot to prove. I think Stroud, if CJ Stroud has a bad game, you're going to hear some people saying, okay, now that's 2 offensive coordinators. What's the problem?
Yeah, it really – Peacock and I keep talking about the Texans this week, and just feels like something's missing. I mean, but I do think their defense is maybe the best in the league. I think they squeak out a win, but either way would not surprise me at all in this game.
Broncos haven't played as well as I thought they would this year. They're playing this year like I thought they would last year, but they go and play the Chargers.
I'm taking the Chargers. We talked about them earlier. I am more in on the Chargers than I was in the offseason.
The second biggest surprise, other than the Colts, to me, is the Seattle Seahawks and how competent they have been. They host the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, and I think they'll win this game. I think their defense is also in competition for best in the league. I don't think the Saints are as terrible as I thought they'd be, though.
Me either.
Yeah, they're okay.
I like Kellen Moore. They need to stop giving away all them draft picks for these wide receivers they're trading for. But the Dallas Cowboys, seems like they got their offense on track. They're still missing a pass rusher. Who'd have thunk that? And the Bears, man, really, I'm really starting to doubt my faith in Caleb Williams, because it's just it's Jay Cutler like. It's very, the highs are high, but the lows are really low.
I forget who I heard describe him, and they summed it up perfectly and said he makes the hard stuff look easy and the easy stuff look hard. And
there you go.
You got to make every layup as a quarterback in this league, and he's not. I like the way Dak's playing a lot, and Dallas games to me just scream shootouts because their defense is pretty brutal. I'll take the Cowboys in a high score.
Yeah, they're definitely a fun watch. Arizona, the team that I'm having the hardest time putting my finger on the pulse, but I say that every year, probably because they play in Mountain Time, and I'm not, I don't get a chance to really see their games as much. But I'm trying to get a feel for them, and I just can't do it. But they go to the 49ers that are banged up and young in some spots and old in others.
I don't have a great feel for this either, because I'm with you that I don't have a great feel for where Arizona is. Like, if I were to do power ranks, I don't know where I'd put them. I'm going to kind of bet on them, though. I mean, you get one week of Mac Jones to kind of get a better feel for him tape-wise. Arizona's defense throws a lot at you. I think they go to San Francisco and squeak this one out.
One thing the New York Giants can do is rush the passer.
Yeah.
One thing the Kansas City Chiefs have a problem with is blocking people that rush the passer. Could this be another setup game here on Sunday night where we start scratching our head about what's going on with the Chiefs? Are they going to let Russ cook, or is this going to be just the team that's supposed to win this game is going to win it?
I think they're going to bring people back to earth, and hey, Kansas City's pretty darn good. I think that's going to be the best game Russell Wilson plays in a 5-year stretch. I mean, I think that was somewhat of an anomaly with the Giants offense, but I am a believer in their pass rush and their D-line. I think the Chiefs win this by a touchdown plus.
At this, at about 3/4 through the season last year, I made this statement before I get to this last game. I said, everybody keeps talking about Detroit. Nobody's talking about Philly. Everybody's talking about Detroit going to the Super Bowl, and the game that they all thought we were going to get is the one we get Monday night. Detroit goes to Baltimore. What you got?
I got the Ravens here. I understand everyone's excited about the way the Lions bounced back, and they probably were being slept on to some degree, but I still see holes there, and I don't see many holes at all in Baltimore.
No, I don't either. And you can bounce back when you're playing the Bears. You don't bounce back in Baltimore. That's
Right,
not something
on
that
Monday
you do.
night. Right.
Yeah, you just don't do that. All right, so Matt is going to be in Ireland next week. He's going to be, normally I say see you next week, but I'll see you in 2 weeks. Safe travels to you. Chris will also be in Ireland. So on Thursday and Friday next week, we'll have different hosts along with me riding here on Locked On NFL that you can get twice a day. Tyler Rowland, the Madman, wakes you up early in the morning, man, and he'll wake you up like a double shot of espresso, and then you come by here to barbershop with me. Ain't no telling what's going to be in this cup when you get over here. but I'm going to sit here and do it the way I do it here on the barbershop, man, and just take you on this cool ride. All right, so make sure you tap in to Locked On NFL, Peacock and Williamson podcast, wherever you get your podcast, whether you watch or listen, we will be there. Matt and I appreciate your time. We will see you next time here on Locked On NFL.